Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time into the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Ooh.
Have you heard of this one?
I have.
It's a grimoire.
Yeah.
Or book of magic.
Right.
And it's been shrouded in mystery and intrigue for centuries.
It has.
So we're going to try to unpack some of that today. We're looking at a 1903 edition
Okay.
that features some really interesting commentary that gives us some insight into how people were understanding these texts back then. But before we get too far, let's just start with the basics.
Sure.
What is the Lesser Key of Solomon?
Well, the Lesser Key, sometimes called the Lemegeton, is attributed to the legendary King Solomon.
Oh, King Solomon.
Yeah, the biblical figure known for his wisdom and wealth.
And building the temple.
And the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. Well, over time, his story got really intertwined with these legends of supernatural power.
Wouldn't see that.
So you got people whispering about Solomon wielding a magic ring, controlling demons, and possessing just unparalleled knowledge of the occult.
Yeah, like a sorcerer king.
Yeah, and the Lesser Key kind of taps into that mystique, claiming to reveal the secrets behind Solomon's supposed mastery of magic.
It's like this forbidden textbook almost.
Yeah.
Promising to unlock all this hidden knowledge and power. I'm already hooked. But before we summon any demons ourselves, can you give us a lay of the land?
Of course.
What's actually in the Lesser Key?
Well, it's structured into 5 books,
Good
each
job.
delving into a different aspect of magic. But the first book, the Goetia, is probably the most famous.
The Goetia.
Yeah, it's essentially a catalog of 72 demons.
72.
Yeah,
That's a lot of demons.
it is a lot of demons. And they each have their own rank and powers and unique sigils.
The sigils being
A special symbol.
a special symbol
Look.
used in magical practices.
Exactly. And according to the Goetia, you can actually summon these demons using the rituals and the seals that are described in the book.
So this is like the real deal.
It's presented as the real deal.
72 demons. That's a lot of power to potentially tap into.
It is a lot of power.
Are we talking like minor imps, causing mischief?
Okay.
Or full on like fire and brimstone?
Yeah.
Bring about the apocalypse demons.
Think of it as like a demonic hierarchy.
Okay.
You got kings, dukes, presidents, marquises,
Yeah.
all with their own specialty. And
Interesting.
their powers, they really do run the gamut.
Okay.
So like Baal, for example. The first demon listed, he's a king who grants invisibility.
Invisibility.
Invisibility, imagine the possibilities.
Oh, well, yeah.
But then you have also like Paimon, another king, who teaches arts and sciences. It can even reveal the secrets of the earth and the human mind.
So invisibility, secret knowledge, these sound kind of helpful.
Right.
I thought demons were supposed to be bad.
Well, there's plenty of that too.
Okay.
Asmodee, for example, is a powerful king associated with lust and temptation.
Okay.
He's also known for stirring up trouble in the romance department.
Oh, so like a homewrecker demon?
A homewrecker demon, basically. So yeah, the Lesser Key definitely doesn't shy away from the darker aspects of demonic power.
It's not just a power grab then. It's like
No.
there are choices and consequences.
There are definitely consequences.
Imagine being faced with that decision. Like,
Yeah.
do I summon Baal for invisibility or Paimon
Yeah.
for this universal knowledge?
Yeah, what do you really want?
Yeah. It really makes you think
Yeah.
about what you truly desire and the potential cost of those desires.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm curious, how would you even go about summoning a demon? I'm picturing something out of a Hollywood movie, chanting in a dark room, maybe a few drops of blood. Is it really like that?
The Lesser Key lays out very specific instructions
No.
for constructing a magical circle and a triangle. And this isn't just for dramatic effect. They're infused with protective symbols and divine names that are meant to shield the magician.
To protect them.
Yeah, from any negative backlash.
So you also need a whole array of tools.
You do.
The hexagram, pentacle, magic ring of Solomon, even specific clothing and incense.
It's very specific.
It sounds like a carefully choreographed performance.
Yeah.
Where every detail is imbued with meaning and power.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder about the mindset of the person preparing for something like that. Were they terrified? Were they exhilarated? Maybe a bit of both.
Probably a bit of both, I would say.
We're talking about a time when the lines between the natural and supernatural were blurred.
Right.
So people truly believed in the power of spirits, curses, and magic. So for them, the dangers outlined in the Lesser Key would have been very real.
Oh, absolutely.
This wasn't just some theoretical exercise.
No.
These were people who truly believed that they were engaging with powerful, potentially dangerous forces.
Exactly.
But the Lesser Key doesn't just describe the how-to of summoning demons, it also delves into the why.
Right.
Like, what were these magicians hoping to achieve through these rituals?
Well, the motivations were varied. Just like the powers attributed to the demons, some sought knowledge, others power, wealth, or even revenge.
So the whole spectrum
Yeah.
of human desire,
The whole spectrum of human desire.
it's like looking into a mirror, reflecting the deepest anxieties and desires of people from another time. But even if we view the lesser key through a modern skeptical lens, it still raises some intriguing questions.
It does.
Right.
It challenges us to think about, the human fascination with the unseen, the allure of forbidden knowledge, and our desire to control forces beyond our comprehension.
That's where things get really interesting, especially when we look at this 1903 edition
Right.
that we have, because it includes commentary from Aleister Crowley,
Oh,
a
yes.
pre-notorious figure in the world of occultism.
Yeah.
And he offered what he called an initiated interpretation of ceremonial magic, which really challenges traditional views of the lesser key.
Right.
So I'm curious, what kind of spin did Crowley put on all this demon summoning?
Well, Crowley believed that magic wasn't about invoking supernatural beings from other realms, but rather about tapping into the power within ourselves.
Okay, so it's more internal?
It's more internal. He saw these rituals and demons described in the Lesser Key as metaphors for aspects of the human psyche.
Oh, so instead of summoning a literal demon, you're engaging with a part of your own subconscious.
Exactly.
That totally reframes the concept.
It does.
So Crowley saw the Lesser Key not as a demonic cookbook, but as a guide to self-discovery.
The guide to self-discovery. Yeah.
He even suggested that some of the seemingly negative goals of some of the rituals,
Causing harm were symbolic, masking deeper truths about self-growth and transformation.
So we've gone from summoning literal demons to delving into the depths of the human psyche.
We have.
Crowley's take definitely adds another layer of complexity to the Lesser Key.
For sure.
It makes us see it as something more than just a manual for conjuring these entities.
Right.
Crowley's interpretation is fascinating, but we can't ignore the fact that the Lesser Key itself has some pretty intense warnings
Right.
about the potential dangers.
Yeah, it walks this fine line between instruction and warning.
It's-
It meticulously details the methods for summoning these entities, but it's also upfront about the risks.
Yeah, it's like a recipe that says, sure, you can bake this cake, but be careful, the oven's hot.
Exactly.
But instead of a burnt finger we're talking about, potential demonic influence.
Yeah.
So what exactly were these magicians risking?
Well, the text really stresses the importance of precision.
Yeah.
Making sure you're performing the rituals exactly as they're described, adhering to the specific astrological timings, and using the protective symbols and incantations correctly.
So no winging it.
No winging it.
What about the demons themselves? Are they all inherently malevolent, just waiting to trick and harm anyone who summons them?
Well,
Or is there room for negotiation, even cooperation?
it's complex.
Okay.
The Lesser Key doesn't really offer easy answers, but the demons are depicted as these powerful beings with their own agendas. And while some might be inclined to cooperate, others are definitely known for their trickery and deceit.
So you gotta be careful.
You have to be very careful. The text really emphasizes the need for the magician to assert control from the very beginning, using the correct formulas and seals to bind the spirits and compel their obedience.
It's like a high-stakes game of strategy,
It is.
where the magician's well-being
Yeah.
is hanging in the balance.
Yeah.
But beyond the immediate danger to the summoner, the Lesser Key also raises some ethical questions.
Right.
Like, what about using these demonic powers for personal gain? Or even to harm others?
Yeah, that's where we get into a moral gray area. The Lesser Key lists demons with a variety of abilities. Some are seemingly beneficial, others are overtly malevolent. And the text itself doesn't explicitly endorse or condemn any specific use of these powers, but it definitely raises questions about the magician's intentions and the potential ramifications of their actions.
Yeah, it's like having a toolbox filled with both hammers and scalpels.
Right.
You could build something,
Right.
or you could destroy something.
Yeah.
And that choice rests solely with the user.
Thinking about Crowley's psychological interpretation, though, the risks become less about supernatural threats and more about psychological ones.
Okay, so instead of being possessed by a demon,
Yeah.
you might end up unearthing some deep-seated trauma
Yeah.
or unleashing a dangerous obsession.
Exactly.
So it's more internal.
It's more about what's going on inside than what's coming from outside.
Crowley's view suggests that engaging with these forces, even metaphorically,
Right.
requires self-awareness, caution, and a deep understanding of your own psyche.
Absolutely.
It's like spelunking in the caverns of your own mind. You might stumble upon treasure, But you could also get lost
Yeah.
or encounter something dangerous in the darkness.
A good analogy.
But how does the historical context influence our understanding of the Lesser Key and its dangers?
Well, we have to remember that people back then viewed magic very differently than we do today.
Right, like they didn't have the scientific method to explain things.
Right.
So did they think these demons were real?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the division between the natural and supernatural was much less defined. People genuinely believed in the power of spirits and curses. So for them, the dangers outlined in the Lesser Key were seen as very real and tangible threats.
Wow, so they weren't messing around.
No, they were not.
But as our understanding of the world evolved, our perception of magic and its dangers shifted too.
Right.
So today, a lot of people view the risks associated with grimoires like the Lesser Key more through that psychological lens.
Yeah, through that lens that Crowley talked about.
Right, so it's not that the Lesser Key has become less dangerous, but our understanding of danger has changed.
Exactly.
Which leads to a big question. Does the Lesser Key still hold any significance for us today, beyond just its historical and cultural value?
I think it does.
Okay.
I really do.
Can we still learn something from it, even if we're approaching it with this modern skeptical perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, even if we remove the supernatural elements, the Lesser Key remains a fascinating study in symbolism and ritual and the power of belief.
It's like an ancient map of the human psyche, outlining the terrain of our desires, fears, and aspirations.
And you mentioned earlier that we haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, we've only talked about the Goetia.
Right, just to the Goy.
That's just one book out of 5.
1 out of 5.
What else is in this grimoire?
Well, we have the Thuringia Goetia,
Okay.
which focuses on aerial spirits, and the Ars Paulina, which links spirits to planetary hours and astrological signs.
Interesting.
And then there's the Ars Almadel and Ars Nova, which contain prayers and invocations for various purposes.
Wow, so like a whole magical toolbox.
Yeah, a whole other system of magic.
Before we venture further, I want to try to ground our exploration in the actual experience of these rituals. Can you paint us a picture of what a summoning ceremony might have actually looked like?
Okay, imagine a dimly lit chamber,
Okay.
illuminated only by the flickering glow of candlelight.
Spooky.
The air is heavy with the aroma of incense, a blend of resins and herbs, intended to attract and appease the spirits.
So they're setting the mood.
They're definitely setting the mood. And in the center of the room, the magician stands within this meticulously drawn circle.
Okay.
And the circle's perimeter is inscribed with protective symbols and divine names. And he's clad in these ritual garments,
Okay.
each element carefully chosen for its symbolic significance. In his hand, he holds either a wand or a sword.
Tools of the trade.
Yeah, tools of the trade.
It's a very vivid scene. What happens next? Does he just shout out the demon's name?
It's much more elaborate than that.
Right.
It's a process. The magician begins by reciting a series of invocations, calling upon higher powers to grant him protection and authority.
So it's like a prayer almost.
It's kind of like a prayer, yeah. And then he really focuses his intent on the specific demon he wants to conjure. He visualizes the sigil, and he chants the demon's name with increasing intensity.
You could practically feel the energy building.
You can.
But how does the demon actually appear?
Yeah.
Is it a puff of smoke, a shimmering portal,
Well-
or something else entirely?
The Lesser Key describes various ways that the spirits might appear, depending on their nature and the skill of the magician. Some might manifest as shadowy figures, others as animalistic forms, and some even in human guise.
So you never know what you're going to get.
You never know.
That must be terrifying.
It would be terrifying.
But how would the magician communicate with the demon once it has materialized? Is it a casual conversation? A tense negotiation? Or
Right.
like a battle of wills?
That's a critical part of the process, and the Lesser Key stresses the importance of establishing dominance from the get-go.
Okay.
The magician has to use the correct formulas and commands to bind the spirit and prevent it from gaining the upper hand.
So it could be a straightforward exchange of information.
It could, or it could be a more complex negotiation where the magician is bargaining for the demon's services or knowledge.
But what's in it for the demon? Why would they agree to cooperate or share their secrets?
Well, that's a great question, and it really gets at the heart of what these entities are and their connection to the human world. Some grimoires suggest that demons are compelled to obey when summoned correctly, bound by the magician's knowledge and the power of the divine names.
Okay.
Others hint at a more intricate dynamic, where demons might see it as an opportunity to influence or manipulate the magician, maybe tempt them with forbidden knowledge or power.
It's like making a deal with the devil,
It is.
where the real danger might not be the immediate threat, But the subtle, creeping corruption, that can come with wielding that kind of power.
It's a good analogy.
The lesser key, for all of its seemingly straightforward instructions, really opens a Pandora's box of ethical and philosophical questions.
It does.
It makes us think about the nature of power, the blurred lines between the human and supernatural, and the consequences of interacting with forces beyond our understanding.
It's true.
But it also gives us a glimpse into the depths of human ingenuity, our willingness to explore the unknown, and our fascination with the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah, it's a reminder that knowledge and power can be both alluring and dangerous. And navigating those waters requires wisdom and discernment and a good dose of self-awareness.
We might not be summoning any demons anytime soon, but the lesser key offers these valuable insights into the human psyche and our quest for knowledge, power, and meaning.
It does.
So we've talked a lot about the rituals and the demons themselves, but I'm curious about the lesser key's impact. Kind of beyond the world of occultism.
Okay.
Like, it's hard to imagine a text this old, so steeped in magic, still being relevant in our modern scientific world.
Well, you have to remember that the lesser key isn't just some isolated text.
Okay.
It's part of a larger tapestry
Like-
of grimoires and magical beliefs that have really permeated our culture.
So it's not just about the rituals themselves, it's
Okay.
about the ideas, the symbols, the fears and fascinations that have resonated through the centuries.
Exactly.
But where do we see this? Like, give me an example of the lesser key's influence in an unexpected place.
Well, think about classic literature, like Milton's Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost.
The hierarchy of demons, the descriptions of hell, even some of the names of the fallen angels. It all draws heavily from the tradition of grimoires, like the Lesser Key.
Wait, so one of the most famous works of English literature was inspired by a demon summoning textbook.
In a way, yeah.
It really makes you think about those high school English classes.
It does.
But it just shows how these texts, even if they weren't taken literally, served as a wellspring of inspiration for artists and writers.
And it's not just Milton. We see echoes of the Lesser Key everywhere.
Like where?
From Dante's Inferno to Goethe's Faust. It's like a hidden code running through some of the greatest works of Western literature.
That's incredible. And it's not just limited to books, is it?
No, it's not.
I can see the imagery of Lesser Key popping up in art, music, even movies and video games.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the visual arts.
Okay.
They've been captivated by the imagery found in grimoires.
Give me an example.
Well, take a look at the paintings of Hieronymus Bosch. You know, they're teeming with grotesque creatures and scenes of temptation and torment, and they really draw on the same visual language that we find in the Lesser Key. Or consider the engravings of Albrecht Dürer.
Okay.
With their depictions of magical symbols and angelic figures, they all tap into that same visual vocabulary.
So these ideas really transcend both time and medium.
They do.
It's like they're speaking to something primal within us.
Yeah, something that still resonates, even in our modern secular world.
And you're right, that power is still very much alive today.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how often we see demonic figures, magic circles, summoning rituals in pop culture.
All the time.
Movies like The Exorcist and Constantine, video games like Doom and Diablo, they're all drawing inspiration from the same source,
It's like this ancient grimoire is still whispering to us across the centuries.
reminding us of the allure of the unknown, the power of belief, and the darkness that's always kind of lurking there.
It's always there.
So even though we've moved away from a literal belief in demons and magic, the Lesser Key continues to influence our culture.
It does.
It's a reminder that we're still drawn to the mysterious and the magical,
Right.
and the possibility of something beyond the material world.
Exactly.
The Lesser Key of Solomon, for all its darkness and danger, it serves as a reminder of our fascination with the unknown and our quest for knowledge, power, and meaning.
It does.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the Lesser Key of Solomon. It's a text that really makes you think.
It does.
And as always, we encourage you to continue exploring these fascinating topics. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.